Salad or Dolly, threw a great party. We all drank Bacardi, it got kinda gnarly. We're light as a feather, we're tougher than leather. Together we're weirder together.
Weirder Together podcast.
Hey, welcome. It's Ione Sky.
I'm Ben Lee.
We're fresh from those 1970s viewfinders. We were just with a bunch of kids, some of your family, and they had that like 1970s, those viewfinders where you put that disc in and it's got a bunch of pictures. A lot of them were like things that I don't think children would like.
Are you kidding? No child can resist the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II in a viewfinder.
I know. And then there was just travel ones. Like, I thought they were really cool, like India. And I don't know, there was one that looked like an Amish traveling one. But then I found the fun Ren and Stimpy and all these other ones that wouldn't have been the
Do you think it was quite a hustle to get your IP put onto a viewfinder? Like, was that a competitive market?
I'm thinking of the conversation of somebody telling their client, we got viewfinders. We got it.
We got it.
Going to be in a viewfinder. Yeah, I love them. It made me want to like go on eBay and get some.
And the presentation of Las Vegas in the 1970s in this child's viewfinder, no sleaze in sight. It looked like a very wholesome tourist experience they were presenting at that point. Yeah.
Speaking of no sleaze, living in New York in the early 90s, we were partially raised on Channel J and the Byrd show. No sleaze, pure joy, sex positive porn, fun and funny somehow.
Public access television. Like, this is something that in the age of the internet, I think people can't even really envision the role it had, but it was a way for regular people to share programming on TV. Like our friend Jake Fogelnest famously had Squirt TV, but Byrd had this sort of sex education, kind of soft porn voyeurism show at night.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she started doing something called Hot Legs where she was a hostess and that folded. She was the first woman to have a sort of, it was like kind of porn, but so positive. She had a kind of warm goofiness. She kept everyone company online late at night. She was very cozy, very loving. She was the first kind of sort of influencer. She even did her makeup as people do now online on TikTok.
Oh, like Get Ready With Me.
She did a Get Ready With Me, but she just did it where she would kind of casually talk, make mistakes. But she was an activist for safe sex, but she also just had no personal shame about sex. And so it sort of made you feel so good. So she was about consent and healthiness. And she had queer, gay, trans. She had then a channel that was just someone was like, the gay men were like, now we don't want the women. We just want one with men. And she's like, of course. Let me ask you a question.
Well, hang on. We're talking about this because of this documentary about Byrd.
Yeah, we just saw a documentary.
Called Bang My Box.
Bang My Box.
That's on HBO Max.
And Sarah Jessica Parker produced it. And the sweet story is that Byrd had an awkward encounter with Sarah Jessica Parker.
Oh, really?
And she thought for 30 years or so, Sarah Jessica Parker must not like her. Cut to, no, she always liked her. If you were just a New Yorker, the Byrd show was just part of your life, and it was not cringy, it was not gross and offensive, but it was pure outrageousness and sex positivity. So what a nice story, because I had that with, for example, I was on Arrested Development and I'd had a horrible audition, and I'm sure people can relate to just thinking you just blew something with a group of people. And then cut to years later, I had another audition and I ended up being on Arrested Development, not in the main role, but still, have you ever had an encounter where you convinced someone doesn't like you and then you were wrong all those years? So Sarah Jessica Parker produced this documentary that is very worth a whirl.
Totally. Do you remember the first time you encountered the Byrd show?
I heard about it because although my mom's side of the family are New Yorkers, I grew up in LA. And then when I was with Adam Horovitz and all the Beastie Boy gang and the first kind of New Yorkers who grew up in the Village and all of that and grew up in New York, they talked about it a lot. And it was impossible to diss. Like, even though sex makes young people, we were all like late teens, early 20s when I first heard about it. You could so easily put something down, but she was impenetrable. You could not put Robin Byrd down because she just made things so natural and healthy.
And she was so sort of open-hearted and authentic that I think that really is the best defense against criticism. Like, she showed up and she really was on a mission to kind of destigmatize sexuality.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Robin Byrd was in Debbie Does Dallas.
Oh, right.
Like, one of the best porn films. And like, also, what a vintage nostalgic, and now it just seems so sweet. Like one of those porn films that has like a storyline or something. I'm not saying that, to my mother-in-law and whoever's listening, I'm not like a giant porn person, but
you're a minor porn aficionado.
I'm just saying that looking now, it feels like
it's like quaint.
It feels quaint. Debbie Does Dallas, and I never knew she was in it. But she didn't stay doing porn. She only did a couple, whatever. But there was something, I don't know what my point is. Just that she became this woman who had this show, and then also she made her money doing those phone calls.
She ran a phone sex enterprise. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, it was so interesting with public access television because it used to be the kind of thing where you'd come home from a gig or a party or whatever and just put the TV on and flick through the channels. And whatever was on public access TV was like some kind of underrepresented, like niche subculture. And it was really designed for that, to give people a voice that didn't have a voice on regular television programming. But I remember that the Robin Byrd show, it gave you a lens into a world that was transgressive and it was kind of horny and, kinky and all of that. But it just seemed like there was this world of kind of experimental people out there in New York that it's funny. I've always been drawn to, like, I've always thought that like a healthy society and a healthy creative culture always kind of pushes the limits of transgression and asks us to kind of look at our taboos and wonder which parts of them are like kind of real and which parts are just like puritanical or something. And I feel like she really she did an amazing service in pushing back against Puritanism. And her mission seemed like really, it was like the sex education was so much about there is nothing wrong with the human body.
Yeah.
There's nothing innately dirty or impure about the human body or sex.
Yes. And Robin Byrd really celebrated other people who were either in the sex industry or just out at the clubs, celebrated them the way you would celebrate anybody. She would pick someone she felt was dynamic and they would come and dance and she would direct them. And it all felt very joyful. And she just had a knack for somehow always picking a healthy, non-dark, or, there was just something that she just, she couldn't make something cringy or sleazy. It just was horny and happy and, and how amazing for people who felt ashamed, especially gay men or whoever, just saying, let's do a little dance and, like show off that ass or whatever. It was like very just like, and it's not for everybody to be kinky or want that kind of out there sexuality, but there is a huge part of the world that does like that.
Well, just the permission, I think, like you were saying, like especially for queer people or young people who haven't yet kind of embodied their sexuality. It's so important to see role models of people who are healthy and not twisted about sexuality.
Yes,
yeah.
And Robin Byrd kept people company at night. And a lot of people felt comforted because she would say, what would she say? Like
snuggle up against your lover. Or if you're by yourself, you always have me, Robin Byrd.
Yeah, she kept people company in a certain way. And
Sandra Bernhard, like she had interesting people passing through the show too.
Andy Warhol, who also had a show for a while, did an article in Interview magazine.
Wait, did he have a show on public access or his was on MTV, I think,
right?
Yeah,
his was on MTV, correct. But he, there was something nice. She was in Interview magazine because Warhol was like, she's great. This is great. Because I think she must have felt concern and like an outsider, of course. And it's funny, even someone like me, like for example, Plato's Retreat, which is, if you don't know, was kind of an orgy club in New York pre-AIDS epidemic, I believe. And she went, and a lot of people went. And I don't think I would be able to go to Plato's Retreat. And I'm not someone who would maybe be like having orgies. But even someone like me, and I think a lot of people, it's nice to have that exposure like to her show. And anyway, my thought is like, I was thinking if I was around for Plato's Retreat, would I go? But I don't know. It's a different kind of person. Would you go? I mean,
I've always felt about orgies the way I feel about like a really intense mosh pit at a hardcore show. I don't really want to be in it, but I'm glad it's happening.
Sure. That's what I mean. I think for a lot of people, not everyone watching the Robin Byrd show lived a very kind of like sexual life that was like whatever you would say, like a lot or that way. But it was still great to see it represented in a kind of healthy way.
Yeah, and isn't that kind of the point of art, that we, with artists or performers, we're given permission to pursue our own truth and our own expression by seeing people pursue theirs. And there was just something about it was so liberating, I think, the journey that Robin Byrd was on.
Yeah, Robin Byrd celebrated sexuality and sex in a way that you would celebrate like somebody who was playing a musical instrument or something. And it, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I just think there's room for that. And she brought this kind of nightlife scene on the TV with a lot of warmth and humor.
Yeah, well, it's like that great, story in that, what is that, in that Fellini movie with the kids who find the prostitute and they pull all their money together and they go up to her and she's like, "What do you want me to do?" And they hadn't even thought that far, and they're like, "Do a dance." And then the priest comes over and chastises them, and the voiceover says it was at that moment that they lost their innocence.
Yes.
And I've always loved that story because I really do feel like the shame, it's a very old story of shame about sexuality, but I don't think it's innate to who we are. It's something that was put onto us, I think, by organized religion and by, just by scared people, basically.
And Robin Byrd's gift of not having shame about her body and sexuality was a gift to witness, like anybody's gift. If someone is gifted at something, her gift was that she lacked shame. And by lacking shame, she gave us that example, which was so satisfying. The way it's satisfying to see someone who's gifted singing. If you're not a good singer, by watching them, you're sort of like, you're enjoying. I enjoy her lack of shame.
Yeah, some of these characters, they're almost like the priestess figures when you look at like ancient mystical rites in sex magic and these things where there were like priestesses in temples who had particular gifts of unlocking and understanding sexuality. Mm-hmm. I feel like she's that type of person.
Yeah. Yes. So that was that, and that was great.
That was that. Yeah. Bang My Box. Robin Byrd. Should check that out. We finally saw Obsession this week at our daughter's insistence, and we were both like reluctant going in, right?
Sure. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of those kinds of horror movies because they're so popular, and not to name drop, but I am old friends with Jason Blum, and he is, Blumhouse, which is so incredible. So I've been intrigued with this growing genre of horror. And so I've avoided it because I'm like snobby and an old head and like, I only know The Exorcist or Gaslight, which is sort of a horror thriller from the 40s. These kinds of things. So watching these new ones, I've started enjoying them a lot, and they're really good. And I cannot explain why Obsession is so enjoyable. I kind of can't explain it.
Well, it had echoes to you of old Twilight Zone episodes, which I think spoke a language that you fundamentally understood about storytelling and resonated with.
Well, yeah, it's definitely, I don't know if it's based on, there is a Twilight Zone episode, exactly a man who like is hot for this woman. And this Twilight Zone was filmed in the 50s, maybe early 60s, 50s, 60s. And he goes into a curiosity shop and gets a potion, and it's sort of exactly like this movie. And I'm not going to give away.
But this
the movie.
goes off in another whole
Exactly.
direction.
This goes farther, but it's the premise is this Twilight Zone, but it's tone and everything is very different. It's funny. I just think some movies go down, even if they're really brilliant. And I use like The Godfather as an example. There's some genius movies like The Godfather that are enjoyable to watch. And there's some genius movies that are a harder watch. But my only connection to like say something like The Godfather and Obsession is that I notice I'm watching it I'm just enjoying it's moving, it's going, it's not, there's something, it's going down easy. And I do think that's a mark of a good film. And I can't tell you technically or like why it's good, because on the surface, Obsession's just another one of these horror movies.
Well, it's just well directed. I mean, a good director really holds your hand through the whole experience, and it felt tonally so even.
Yes.
I mean, one of the things I find so fascinating about horror movies is they do seem to be the perfect vehicle for examining the hidden fears of the moment.
Yeah.
And whether that's like, I mean, I remember we saw a play version of The Exorcist at the Geffen Playhouse in LA. And they had this whole take on that story that the devil's main job, like, those famous scenes in The Exorcist where like the little girl takes the crucifix and is masturbating with like horrific images, right? And the point in this version of the story was that the devil's main job is to make us feel disgusted with ourselves as a species, which is kind of what like warlords do. And it's what basically like it wants us to feel hopeless.
Right.
It wants us to look at the world and go, see, there's nothing we can do. We are a disgusting species.
Right.
We're evil. And I just find like, and obviously Get Out and all the Jordan Peele stuff, but it does seem to be like if you have something you want to examine, like hidden sort of latent terror in the psyche, the horror film is like the perfect place to kind of delve into it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And this is like really a lot about consent. And it's a lot about, it's interesting in this sort of like wish fulfillment manifestation culture, right? Where everybody is trying to optimize their life and make their dreams come true and bend will to their reality. And Obsession really asks the question, at what cost does reality bend towards you? And it does it in a very thought-provoking way. Yeah, really, really good.
It was very good.
Are we becoming a film podcast? I feel like that is like getting, I feel like it's getting further into our DNA.
We've talked about a documentary. We've talked about a movie.
But I wanted to chat about the Ninajirachi show at the Enmore, which was sort of on her victory lap around Australia. And it was just such a high level production. When you think about all the things that can go wrong with an artist producer standing on stage, essentially DJing, how innately boring that can be, or how over the top it can be in terms of production without any actual musicianship going on. And somehow Nina has really found this space where she is being, I mean, she's not one of the classic trope about DJ artists is they push play and they're not doing it, but Nina is creating on stage. I mean, she's a very high level musician and performer, but the visuals, the way they're working, the light show, I also loved the audience it was so cool because they were like, I was looking around going, this is such a cute audience. Like there was real normie people there that had just discovered her on, Triple J or whatever. There were queer kids. There were kind of like, it was pretty multicultural. It just felt like, it really did feel like sort of like the future in a way, which was like really, I don't know. I just loved it.
Did Ninajirachi play in Los Angeles?
Oh yeah. I mean, she's been playing nonstop. She's been
Where
playing.
did she play in LA? Do you know?
I'm not sure most recently, but she's been, I mean, she did Coachella.
Oh,
That was her big LA play in the last 6 months. But yeah, she's usually you have to block out. You can't also do local plays around that. But yeah, it was just very, very cool. I think the something I've thought a lot about as an artist who I got the opportunity to kind of take a swing at like a major label level, both with Breathing Tornadoes and with Awake is the New Sleep. I got the chance. I had like an indie hit and I got the chance to kind of go, okay, let's see if this can compete with all the big opportunities. And I personally feel like I sort of fumbled the ball, but that is pretty common for kind of artists that come out of indie and alternative music because we're essentially not being trained for the major leagues ever. Like you were sort of standing up on stage from the very beginning, acting like you were conflicted about being there. And, you know, it all was very confusing. Whereas I feel like artists in Nina's generation, totally rooted in the underground, yet ready for their close-up when the spotlight hits them in a way that I'm really pleased to see that evolution. That feels much healthier.
It does seem like that, like the Rachel Sennett's and the Christopher Fleming.
Chris Fleming, as he's commonly known. But I do like you calling him by his full name. When he's in trouble, of course. Christopher Fleming. Get down here.
You know, Robbie Hoffman, whoever has come up in an indie way, but it does seem like they are going into the big leagues very ready.
I know. That's the thing. We did not have that. Like 90s performers, we were under such a weight of cultural conflict about success. And I watch these younger people now and I'm like, good on you. You're holding true to your style and your values, yet you're also like unashamedly wanting to make art for as many people as possible. And why not?
Yeah. And do you think like even someone like Winona who did so well and still doing so well, do you think, I feel like, I don't know, I'm curious how people felt about that going into the big leagues and stuff. I mean, I guess if you started really young, anyway, I could analyze people and the whole thing a lot because it's so interesting to me. But yeah, it does feel like, yeah, like people are just like psyched, or maybe they're allowed to project that they're psyched, whereas our generation weren't really allowed to project that we were excited. Because I remember someone like Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
I can't believe I said his name right.
It's pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Close?
Yeah, I think that was right.
I feel like people were sort of rough on him or rough on anyone. It's like those kids who want to do well in school. It was like you were like a nerd if you were projecting you wanted to do well in school. And he was sort of seemed like he wanted to do well. And I feel like people were a little bit like, don't try that. You're trying too hard type of thing. Whereas now it's like, fine.
Well, we were talking about this last night you've been learning this monologue for this project you're working on. And you just very uncomplicatedly put in time every day and like learnt the lines, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny how we were talking about how that...
Learning a monologue at 55.
Yeah, we were talking about how that basic level of just intense professionalism.
Yeah.
It can take a long time to be uncomplicated about that.
Yeah, I know. It's true. It's really true.
But it's been amazing actually watching you because you were 100% like an embodiment of that culture. Like you would have people, you'd go in for auditions and have them call your reps later and go, does she actually want it? We can't tell if she wants it.
Oh my God.
Whereas it's taken you a long time to get to this point and you're so, I don't know, now it's like so, it feels so natural.
I know.
It's like that Miles Davis thing, that quote. Did you see that? I posted that the other day. It can take a really long time to sound like yourself.
That's nice.
I so related to that. Like how there's a part of you, especially if you start young, that just organically is who you are.
Yeah.
But then to build the sort of foundation around that and to protect it and to grow it while staying connected to yourself, that really does take a long time.
Boy, does it ever. I know. I wish I can give young adults a magic pill to help them learn how to tolerate life. I mean, I still really have a lot of anxiety and stuff like that still, but I do feel just much better at you just learn how to deal with all of these things. There's one of my favorite birds making a noise that I found really amusing. I don't know what it is.
It's a magpie, isn't it?
A crow?
A crow? Okay.
But it sounds like it's complaining, and it goes, ah, ah, ah. Ah, ah, ah. And one day my daughter and I were listening to it and we just got the giggles. Because it just sounds like they're complaining to each other.
And they like lose steam on the second and third
they lose
repetitions.
steam, like, ah, ah. It's very Larry David. It's like Larry David, ah, ah, ah.
I wanted to ask you though, just to continue what we were talking about, because we were talking about one of the young artists we know who is going through just the volatility of their journey, as you start out, the different conflicts you get in, and how back in our day, self-destruction was it was prescribed. It generally involved like drugs or irresponsibility or whatever. But I've kind of realized that even though we're now in hustle culture, where all these younger artists are unashamedly going after their bag and all of that, there is still a self-destructive flavor enters just naturally due to the age. I feel like there's something about being in your 20s and wrestling with responsibility, professionalism, that like, I don't know, it's almost like the way tantrums looked changed. Yeah. But they're still kind of tantrums.
Yeah. I think the LA version, an LA actor is something for me for sure was a flakiness, was a way to be.
Whereas now you can't, no one's flaky, right? Like young artists aren't flaky anymore.
I don't think so. I mean, I could be totally off, but I noticed that I would get really flaky, or I would get married really young, or follow a band around, or somehow I would kind of ditch things by just kind of pissing off in a certain way.
Totally.
One question, did you ever call those numbers, this is sort of a callback to the Robin Byrd thing, she had this sort of like thing where you can call in and have a sexy conversation with somebody.
Phone sex lines.
I was reminded of when I was in maybe 6th grade, was the 976 numbers. And you weren't live with somebody, thank God, because that would have been super creepy for we were, 6th grade. But it was just a recorded voice saying like, hey,
reading a sexy story
hey,
or something.
hot stuff. Yeah. Da, 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 da. And we were, for like maybe a few days in a row, we were at my friend Samantha's and we were calling it. And she got in trouble because her mom was like, got a huge phone bill.
Oh, and $5 a minute in the 80s. It's like,
I don't know. But I do remember it was kind of benign. It was just like, hi, fireman. It wasn't like really disturbing.
But they also are trying to keep you on the line longer. So they're not going to start with their strongest material.
This, I feel, and I may be wrong, it was like a recorded thing, and possibly maybe you could go farther and keep. I don't know. I don't remember. It wasn't a person in real life.
It was like a choose your own adventure.
Maybe.
Like press 1 to take off her negligee.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Yeah, I think I called one with a friend that was a similar recorded one at a sleepover when I was, 9 or 10 or something. And then another one, I think we did get through to a live person. And she was like, how old are you? And we were like, we're 20. Just like two little Aussie guys with like squeaky little voices. But yeah, that was the end of that.
Adorable.
Yeah, I think that's a long gone thing of the past now that everyone can play Omegle and chat roulette or whatever that.
Jesus
that
Christ.
is.
I did a short film based on chat roulette called
Slideshow of Wieners.
Slideshow of Wieners, a comedy. It was great. I had all my mom's friends.
Selma Blair and Kelvin Yu. It was for my record, for Deeper Into Dream. Yeah,
it was sort of based around dreams, and we wrote a really funny thing.
Stephen Davis wrote it.
Stephen Davis of Bob's Burgers, and Selma Blair was the star. It was a love story, essentially, to people who actually do find each other on chat roulette. No penises were filmed, but...
Well, no, they were, but they were blurred out.
We blurred them out.
But people can actually find that. I'll put that in the Substack, because that's a funny, it's called Slideshow of Wieners, a love story.
Yeah.
Classic. So you got some work this week?
I do.
Getting into this movie that we're not allowed to talk about?
We can talk some. I got in trouble for saying It's a long story. I'll tell you later. I just said one detail. Like you can announce your project once it's been formally announced. But there was one other aspect that I was told I couldn't announce and I accidentally did. But it was fine. I wasn't, me, I'm a shame. I went into a shame, not a shame spiral. I don't love that term. I wasn't that bad.
But it was kind of interesting because it was the first time we've actually had a call from one of our representatives that said, you're going to have to take that down and edit that bit out. So if you listen to the podcast, like in the first 2 hours it came out, you would have heard something that got cut out now. But we both felt this is a little bit of like a compliment in a way that they feel that the podcast actually has some reach to it or some legs,
Yeah, that was fun. So yeah, I'm going to do it and I'm excited. I'm filming my the monologue scene first, which will be great because there's always a little bit of stress with the monologue. I once had a monologue, and by the time we got to it, this was years ago, maybe this is why I'm having PTSD about it. PTSD.
Yeah, D.
There's a D.
Disorder
about it, because by the time they got to filming this monologue in this movie, I guess I should name the movie. It won't ruin it for you if you know, because some people love Dream for an Insomniac.
Oh yeah, that's a sleeper. People really dig that.
And it's good. And so anyway, I have a long monologue that opens the movie, by the way, and then they filmed it at like 2 in the friggin' morning, and I had to keep it in my head. I learned it. I knew it by heart. But then I was so tired that we never got it in one take.
That's
and they
crazy.
and they wanted it in one take. So they had to edit it. And it was one of those awful things where it's like, you just think, oh no, of course I'll get it. And I didn't. And it was fine. Like in the end, they just figured out how to edit it and it still works. But it's just that terrible thing where sometimes you do kind of fuck up and you can't. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, we were talking about this yesterday. I was on the phone with someone. We were talking about Oh, the Places You'll Go, the Dr. Seuss book. And it has that line in it, you'll be the winningest winner of all and everyone will watch you win on TV. And then you turn the page and it says, except when they don't, because sometimes they won't. And that is the reality that we like to feel that at the end of the day, it all works out. Some things don't work out and we can move on and survive, but that's real.
I know. Our kid had this performance during her assessments. So she had a physical kind of performance, and I think she just had so much on her plate, and she just during it was a casual performance, but she kind of had some messing up during it. And I it was hard, but I was like, at least it wasn't film. Like we've had things that are like forever on TV or on whatever, like someone could find them forever.
Yeah. It's not like me singing out of tune on David Letterman.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but that's what I was thinking about. Like, at least you weren't messing up on Letterman.
Beautiful babies. Thank you for tuning in. It's always nice to connect with you all.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. One of my favorite times of the week is
really
connecting with you.
And we'll speak to you soon, beautiful babies.
Thank you.
Together we're weirder together.